welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video we are going to be making homemade sauerkraut, and this is my first time making it, full disclosure, so you're kind of learning right along with me here today, and I'm kind of nervous, kind of excited. But before we go into making the sauerkraut, I have an exciting announcement, and I wanted to say at the beginning of this video because I hate when I watch these kind of videos and the people leave it to the very end. I mean, I don't hate it, but like the suspense kills me. But anyways, my announcement is that I started a blog, and the name of my blog is called The Mediocre Homesteader. And I bet you're wondering, why did you choose that name, The Mediocre Homesteader? Like, that's kind of weird. But the name came to me when I was brainstorming names basically, and we just moved into this house. And if you don't know, our house is an old farmhouse, and we have a barn with space for animals, and I'm just like getting into making food from scratch and starting a garden and doing like some of those homesteading things. But like, we are nowhere near like what I would consider a homestead. So that's why I called it the Mediocre Homestead, because I am just learning. We're kind of creating our homestead from scratch and just kind of learning how to be more self-sufficient. So that is the thought process behind the name, because I am definitely mediocre as far as homesteading goes. So I was talking to my parents and my husband about the name, and they're like, well, what about in a few years from now when you're not mediocre anymore and you've learned so many things and you have just grown your homestead? And I'm like, well, then it'll just be funny because I won't be mediocre anymore and it'll just be a funny joke, and it'll be nice to look back on where it all started. So that is my announcement. I'm so excited to start posting more on the blog, and I have so many ideas already for it. Just basically documenting my journey for my garden and cooking from scratch, and eventually we're going to get chickens, so I'm really excited to have that. And I don't think that won't be for like another few years, only because our dog would definitely eat them. Like, we're confident that he would eat them. So that's why we're holding off on getting chickens, but I can't wait to have those in the future. In the past, I definitely would have told you that I never want chickens, but I've changed my thoughts on that, and I want chickens now. So we're gonna get chickens. We have like a good space for them. We just need to build like little nesting boxes. Yeah, anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent, but I am so excited to start posting on my blog, and I'm going to be making videos to go along with the blog post. So I was considering changing my name on here too to The Mediocre Homesteader, and I might. I don't know yet. You guys can let me know in the comments if that's something that you think that I should do. I'm leaning more towards changing it because I'm not that established here on YouTube yet, and I think if my YouTube brand and my blog brand are like all the same, it'll definitely work in my favor, especially since I'm planning on making videos about what I'm blogging about. So yeah, tell me in the comments below if you think I should change my name here. I just have this feeling that I should, but I would love to get other people's opinions as well. Okay, enough of my talking. Let's get into making homemade sauerkraut. So starting off with some of the supplies you'll need to do this is a mason jar, glass mason jar. This is like the smallest size you should use for sauerkraut. And I bought this. It was a fermentation kit. So it came with this spring here. So once all the cabbage is in there, you use the spring to like push it down, and then you close, like you push it down as much as you can and put this lid on top of it. Now this kind of lid is ideal for fermenting, so I need to pick up more of these, but this is a 1/2 gallon. It's not a mason jar. It's this, I don't even know how to say it, but it's that brand. And I'm gonna use this, but it does not fit a regular ball mason jar lid. Like the lid doesn't fit on it. Like, it won't screw on, but that's actually okay for sauerkraut because you don't want a tight seal when you're doing this. You want it to be loose so air can escape and it doesn't explode on you. But these are the supplies you're gonna need. And then this fermentation kit also came with this salt. This is totally not necessary, but I'm going to be using it since it did come with it. You could just use a pink Himalayan salt or like an iodized salt, I think is okay as well. But I'm using this today. The only thing you don't want to use is just a generic table salt, but other salt is good to go. Okay, so I have my cabbage and then a big bowl to put the chopped up cabbage in. First, you're going to want to remove these outer layers here because at the grocery store, these outer layers just touch so many things. But keep these leaves for future use. You'll see what we're gonna do with these later on. They say that cabbage is one of the easiest things to ferment, to like start with if you're like just getting into this. So that's why I'm starting with it in the process. As I was reading up on it, seems very easy to do. Okay, sorry you can't see my head when I am working on here. There is not a way I can get my head and what I'm doing in the video. So it's kind of one or the other, but the first thing we're going to do is cut this up into small little shreds. And I could do this in a food processor, but I am not going to do that because I don't have a traditional food processor. The only one I have is my Ninja, and it doesn't have like different settings, and it would just cut it up way too fine. From what I'm thinking, I might try it in the future, but today I'm just going to be slicing it by hand. When I told my husband I was going to be making homemade sauerkraut, he said, ew, because he doesn't like sauerkraut from the store. But I told him, I think you're gonna like this homemade sauerkraut because you can control the amount of days that you ferment the cabbage. So you can control the sour taste of it, and you can do less days fermenting, so it has a less sour taste, or more days fermenting, so it has a more sour taste. So I am really excited to see his reaction to this homemade sauerkraut. Now, I personally have never had homemade sauerkraut either, but I have had sauerkraut from the store and I do like it. So I know that I'm going to like this, and honestly, anything homemade is better. That is just what I believe. So yeah. All right, so this bowl is getting really full, so I'm just going to do this batch first and then cut up the rest of this. I'm going to do about half a tablespoon of this salt. If it was a whole head of cabbage, I would probably do a full tablespoon, but it's not the whole head. They say this next step of mixing it with your hands and everything, and I'm actually gonna take off my rings, It takes around 10 minutes for the brine to separate from like the actual cabbage. So I'm gonna put on a YouTube video or something and just like keep working this with my hands for about 10 minutes. Now, the point of doing this over and over with your hands is to, I already said this, I think, just like separate the juices, like the water content in the cabbage, and just to pull it out. It's been about 10 minutes and the cabbage has a good liquidy brine going in the bottom there. Like I said, this is my first time, so I'm not really sure how much brine is supposed to be in the bottom, but I think that's a good amount, a good enough amount. So I'm going to pack it into this smaller jar to start. Now, I'm going to squeeze out the liquid as much as I can before packing it in here. This part, from what I've seen, can definitely get messy. Well, it's all messy, but this can make your counter pretty messy. I'm going to try to pack this in as tightly as I can. This spring is a nice help for that. I got this fermentation kit at Target. You want to make sure that you're filling the jar completely to the top with cabbage. This is about how much brine is in the bottom, and I don't have quite enough cabbage to fill it to the top here, so I'm gonna dump out this brine into a little bowl and do the whole process over again. Not gonna lie, my forearm is definitely hurting a little bit from squeezing the cabbage so hard, but we're gonna push through so we can finish this. And now that I know how much of the cabbage fits into this jar, I know for sure that I'm definitely not gonna be able to fill up this big jar. So I might just have to use like a smaller mason jar. Like I have a smaller wide mouth jar that I think I'll put the rest in. Okay, so second batch is done, and I'm gonna top this off, and then I also have this smaller jar to put the rest in. Okay, this is good because you want to have enough room to put the leaf in there, and this is what we saved the leaves for. Make sure you put the clean side down, just because you don't want that dirtiness getting in there. Oh wait, before you put the leaf on, you have to pour the brine on top like this. Ah! I just spilled it on the counter. I want to make sure that the brine is the cabbage is fully covered in the brine. I hope I have enough brine because I just spilled a bunch on the counter. Okay, so the cabbage is mainly covered with the brine. Then you'll put the leaf on top to make sure that nothing seeps up. And just to make sure that everything is covered with the brine, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like. There is liquid on top of here, and then the last step is to put a weight on top of this. Now, I did go ahead and purchase these fermentation weights, and these just go right on top. You don't have to buy these. I have seen people use rocks in like a Ziploc bag, so you could just do that, or you could also use this spring too. But I do have these weights, and I can't get this lid off with one hand. This is what the weights look like, and you just set the weight right in there like so. It's just like an extra step to make sure that everything stays below the brine. All right, now this is good to go. I'm gonna put this lid on top. This has a special little air pocket because it's meant for fermenting, but you do not need this special lid. You can just get any lid. Don't tighten it all the way. You want to make sure that the gas bubbles can escape. I'm not worried about this one because it has this thing, but just for other lid types. Okay, first jar is good to go. It's kind of heavy, and these are just going to sit on the counter for three days. They say if you're doing this for the first time to only do 3 days. Get used to the way it tastes. If you do longer than 3 days, it's obviously going to taste more sour. So after 3 days, I'm going to try it a bit and then see what it's tasting like. And if I want it more sour, I'll just let it sit longer. And if not, then we'll just start eating it. All right, so our 2 jars of sauerkraut are good to go. I'm so excited. And now we have a good mess here that we have to clean up, but I'm probably just gonna put the rest of this stuff in the compost pile. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching my first time making sauerkraut. It was actually so fun, and I love doing stuff like this. Check out the blog. It's going to be in the description. It's a blog of this whole process too. So if you're more of like a reader or you want to screenshot the recipe, click the blog and you can do so. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be doing a lot more food preserving videos and like cooking videos in the future. I'm still gonna do my cleaning videos, but just not as much. So yeah, give this video a thumbs up too if you enjoyed. I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.